Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is GC Performance here, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things you should look out for when buying a new saddle. Now, first off, I just want to say that buying a new saddle, it is very subjective, and it's hard to give my opinion on it because everyone is different. Me working in a store, I've been helpful in terms of people will ask, well, what do you recommend, or what saddle should I have? I'm having these type of pains. I'll give recommendations. Majority of times I'll get good feedback, but sometimes they don't work for everyone. So take this with a grain of salt. Everyone's body anatomy is different. While riding as well, everyone will handle pain and their pain threshold a little bit different as well. So keep that in mind. Also, I did some, as you guys can tell, this is my man cave / garage type thing. So sorry for the clutter, but we'll get right into it. So I did some little bit editing too. This is like my editing. So I have a list. We're gonna look at width, curve, or contour of saddle, cutout of the opening, padding, and the 5th one is weight, which is just, if you can find with these 4 what you're looking for, a plus will be a weight as well. So we'll talk about that. And I have my website set up to kind of show you guys and give you guys examples. So first we're gonna start with width. Saddles do come in different width sizes when looking at a saddle. And that's first things first is to probably get your sit bones measured. Coming stock on majority of bikes, they usually are 143 or whatever that company sells. Like I know Bontrager makes their own version of it, but usually every single company that sells a saddle will have their 3 different layers or variants of it. Like for example, Specialized gives 143 millimeters from width to width. What that means is the widest part of the saddle from here to here measures in at 143 millimeters. And then they'll have next saddle, which will be 155, and the next one will be 168. So what that's saying that if your person, or if like, for example, me, I'm most comfortable on 143 millimeters, that means that my sit bones, when I sit and make contact on the seat, my bones are making contact, I'm getting support, they're not falling off the sides. That works for me. If I was to get measured and the reading came up that I was a 155, and I were to go sit on a 143 saddle, I might not get support over here, they might be too wide, they might be falling off in the front. And what can happen is that you would favor one side and try to get support, and you're not going to be able to get comfortable on a saddle. So first thing you want to do is get measured. You can go to any local bike store. They should have some kind of saddle measuring tool. Specialized has their own assometer. There's a bunch of different tools out there. They have digital ones, they have manual ones, but at least start off by getting measured first. Figure out what your saddle size is, and then go from there. But granted as well, before all this happened, this is again just to kind of help you out and to make this better for you. But before, I think like 15 years ago, whatever it was, they only had one saddle size. But neither here nor there, they have different sizes to accommodate different people. And body type, usually body type, height, and weight doesn't really play into speculation of if you're a bigger guy with a wider butt, you're gonna have a wider sit bones. I've seen guys who are 6'2", 240 with 143 sit bones. I've seen guys who are like 5'7", real skinny, petite guys, like 150 pounds, and they're 168. They just have really wide sit bones. It's all up to your anatomy, and that's all that matters there. So first thing, get tested to figure out which saddle works for you. So me personally, I use a 143. That's just what works for me. I've used different saddles. Also brings us to our next step, which is going to be curve or contour. What I mean by this is the shape of the saddle. Now, if you guys know, I'm sure you guys have seen S&P saddles. Specialized makes a power arc, which is just a normal power saddle, but they have a power arc, which has more contour to the saddle. The Roman had more contour. The S&Ps have a lot of contour to them. What that means is that some people don't like to have a lot of their weight sitting on their 2 sit bones. So with some curvature to the saddle, you relieve some of that pressure to cause those sit bones to not bruise, and that will come into play with like your pubic bone, right underneath, right around your soft tissue area. It'll be like a bone which will kind of give you support here and also here to distribute that weight, which will give you more support. Again, it's all up to your pain threshold and what feels comfortable to you. Personally, me, when I tried the power arc out, when I rode a short ride, I enjoyed it. It was actually really comfortable. It kind of felt like that saddle went like kind of up into your body and felt like it was more molded to you. But after I rode for long periods of time, I noticed that I wish I had more support in the saddle bones, and I was kind of getting more pain in that area for longer periods of times, and I just couldn't take it, so I went back to my old flat saddles. I used to ride the Toupee. I used to ride the power, the regular power. I've ridden the Roman. And another thing I say too is if you're looking at a seat that has contour, like the power arc. So I'm a 143 saddle in the power, a flat saddle I'm 143 in the Power and the Toupe by Specialized. When I go to an Arc or a Roman Evo that has more contour to it, I go up a size, because you have to think, there is a fall off and there's a drop off on here. So I won't get the support all the way out here. So I go to a 155 because I want that more support on there. So just keep that in mind. And also with going with a wider saddle too, you're gonna get some wider in the front of the nose as well. So you might get some rubbing on that first leg at first. Make sure whatever saddles you're looking at, majority of them all now have like low friction areas right here to reduce rubbing. I'm sure you can do some chamois cream, whatever you like, but you have to take that in consideration too. A wider saddle back here, you're also gonna get wider right here too, which can cause a little bit of rubbing, but hopefully you can get by that. Next, we are going to go to one thing that I love talking about. I don't know why I love talking about it, but we're going to cut out openings. And Specialized has a bunch of different variations of these. I started off on, I wanna say again, the Toupe saddle, which I don't think they have listed on here. But the Phenom is a great saddle, or a great indication of it. Very small, slim, traditional looking saddle with the cutout. A long nose shape here, and a nice wide, regular flat platform right there. The Mimic saddles are more aimed towards females. They have a lot of soft jelly area right here to provide comfort for longer rides and not have as much hard material there to cause irritation for soft tissue area as well. But there are different saddles like this one right here. The Roman came out, was introduced, and this was one of the bigger saddles with a bigger cutout right here to again allow blood flow to not cause numbness in those certain areas. And then it came along the Power. The Power really changed the shape of the game. You're going to see a lot more companies doing this now. Like I think Bontrager has a saddle. Shimano's own Pro, that company, they have their own saddle. All these companies are starting to do a short nose saddle. And the reason why is because you're starting to see more and more people get into the sport and become more aggressive with it. So they're eliminating this front nose, making it shorter right here, and making the cutout wider and longer. And what that allows you to do is when you get a wider cutout and a shorter nose, you're able to go more aggressive position. So what I mean by that is, I have a Power on here, short nose. I typically like to ride my saddle a little bit tilted forward, and this is getting to fit, but that's just it. I don't like to ride with it level. I like to ride with it -1 degrees down. I like to have my stem right there because I'm not riding as much as I used to, but sometimes even slammed. What that does is that it's going to give me more leverage when in my racing or in my riding position. So I'm more bent over, my back is lower down, I'm more bent over and able to get more power over the crank and able to push more power down. But what happens is when you bend over, you're exposing your soft tissue area, you know, prostate for guys or stuff like that. But you're exposing that blood flow area, which if you didn't have a big cutout, you could have pressure on that blood flow area, which could cause blood flow blockage, which could cause numbing, uncomfortableness. So the idea behind it is small saddle, you can creep up, or less nose on the saddle, you can creep up more on here. You have this cutout right here, which will allow blood flow again. And then you're able to go into your drops, or you can lower your stem more and ride your hoods more at that aggressive position. So really going to the cutout opening, you're seeing a lot more of these companies go with a wider cutout here. It just makes sense. These Specialized have done it. I know everyone's gonna say R&D is kind of blah, 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 but they've done a lot of anatomy testings. They've done a lot of different testings to test to see blood flow, how it reacts. No one wants to be sore. No one wants to be numb while riding. Everyone's been through that situation. And what that's caused by is that saddles that don't have any kind of cutouts, yes, you can get used to that. Yes, bodies can get used to that. The idea is when you're sitting on your sit bones, it's supposed to raise that elevation up. But when you really go down, you get to a hard section of a ride where you're pushing down, everyone's trying to drop each other. It's a furious race, a furious group ride. You're in your drops, you can't get out. That's when you're gonna notice that you have a lot of weight on that soft tissue area, and that's when you're gonna wanna cut out. So look for a saddle that has a decent sized cutout. Again, this is a preference to a lot of consumers, but I found that this saddle is one of the most comfortable saddles I recommend, and I get the best feedback I can on any Power saddle. They have different models. You're gonna have to judge which one you go with in that price point, but they have models starting from $130 all the way to $300. But the Power has been one of their, I want to say like their flagship saddle, and it's really done a great job. So they use this for road, mountain bike, everything. Then the fourth thing we're going to talk about is padding. Padding plays into what level the saddle is. If you're just starting out, you want more padding on there, you want more cushion, you're doing shorter rides and your body can't get used to the saddle as much, you're able to get more padding on here. They make different padding levels. They make a 1, 2, and 3, I believe. I think on the lower end models, they're going to give you a little bit more dense foam, and they're going to give you more padding on there. With your seat shorts, with your bib shorts, you're gonna have a little bit of a chamois in there to create padding, and then also with the saddle, it's gonna be a little bit squishy. But what you really wanna do is, you want a nice dense foam. This is a padding level 2, I believe. A nice dense foam. Your sit bones will kind of get calloused. They'll get used to it the more and more you ride. With the idea is that they're gonna get calloused over, you're gonna get used to your saddle, and then they're just gonna sit there, and that dense foam is just gonna kind of acclimate to your body, and then you should be good to go. You don't want a real squishy saddle, a real padded saddle, like a gel saddle that you see, or the seat covers that you buy, because what happens is your body will just kind of sink into that gel. That gel will kind of then be pushed down here and then raised in the middle, and then you'll get a lot of areas on your body that will get friction, rubbing, discomfort, and that's maybe not what you like. So padding level, again, it's very subjective, it's preference, but I always try to say, get something right in between. Like, this is a padding level 2. I enjoy it. I don't have any issues with long-term riding on here. I'll do 60 miles on here. I'll do 40 miles on here. I've done 100 miles ride a couple times before, but that killed me anyways. I wasn't ready for it as is, so my butt hurt anyways. But yeah, I mean, padding level is going to be very subjective, and like even Specialized makes a road saddle called the Avatar, which is their most padded saddle right here, the Avatar Comp Gel. And this thing, as you can see, it's a road saddle, yes. Still looks very cool, $130, but you can see this has a big chunky saddle on there. So, or I'm sorry, yeah, a big chunky padding on there. This was one of my first saddles I started off with, but I changed it pretty quickly. Just because I didn't like the aesthetics look of it, to be honest with you. I mean, at the end of the day, you want to look cool while riding it. But it was very comfortable, but I noticed that on longer rides, I would start to get annoyed by it more because I would always be kind of fidgeting around, moving my butt, moving my sit bones, because I noticed that it felt uncomfortable to me. So I wanted something skinnier, something not as much there in the area, and less material down there so I don't get bothered by it. But again, that's just my take on it and my preference. And the last one we're going to talk about is weight. That's for all you weight weenies out there. It's for all you people that really care about the grams, the KOMs, the sprints, and maybe you like your saddle, but you don't care or you don't give a crap about how comfortable you're on the bike. You just want the lightest machine you can to give you every single advantage you can possible. So weight just comes down to how much money you want to spend on it and how many grams you're going to save over it. My opinion is, get a saddle that you're comfortable in. The more comfortable you are in the saddle, the longer you can ride for it, the faster you can go, the less you'll be irritated. Granted, if you can find all 4 of these, a comfortable width, a nice curve or contour to your body, or maybe you want it flat, just depending on what kind of style you want, a cutout that your body likes, and padding that uses white, then maybe look into a different, like, okay, I found all these, I know I like the Power. Now if I want to save some weight, maybe I look into the Power S-Works and go from there and spend the extra money to save those grams. That's all I can really go for there. Weight-wise, different saddles, different strokes, different companies will claim, like I've seen a full carbon fiber body saddle with no padding. I've seen people riding it and they love it. I can never ride that, but they sacrifice their ride. They don't care about what anyone else says. They have a bike that's super light. They got used to it. The more they rode it, the more they got used to it, and that's just works for them. So kudos to them. I can't really say that much about it, but yeah. And granted, you might change. Your saddle might change. I'm going to leave it with this, guys, because I'm going to wrap up the video. Over time, you might change your saddle because of the fact that you get more in tune with riding. You might go faster. You might lower your stem, and the saddle that once worked for you, that you start off with on the bike, it might not work for you anymore because your fit is changing, and it's putting your body into a newer position, and you might get rubbing in certain areas that weren't rubbing before. So take that in consideration, because people say, I've had this saddle for 4 or 5 years. I loved it, but I'm getting into it. I'm becoming more of an enthusiast. I'm starting some races, but now I notice I'm getting uncomfortable with it. That's normal because your body's changing when you're going to different race positions and you're getting different fits done to it. So keep that in mind. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for everything. I do have some couple build videos coming up, which is going to be crazy. I have a really cool bike that I'm building up as well. It's just been really crazy at work, so I haven't been uploading as much as I want to. But things are coming, and I just want to say thank you. We have 10,000 subscribers that we're coming up on pretty close. I want to do a big giveaway for that as well, so if you guys stay for this video, I really do appreciate it. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for checking out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.